hey, let's split it like down the middle. And that's the funny thing. The argument on the internet is always like, y'all don't want to do 50-50 or y'all do 50. Baby, I'm trying to do 50-50. Hey guys, welcome back to Is It Tuesday podcast. I'm Cris Cavallari. Happy Mother's Day. And yes, I'm saying Happy Mother's Day after the fact, but every day is Mother's Day. Every day you make that sacrifice. I'm not really trying to wait until one day out of a year that I'm told that I'm celebrated, that I'm appreciated. And it's crazy because when I woke up this morning, I'm trying to be better at keeping a journal next to my bed or a notebook next to my bed or my phone or something or, whatever, because my thoughts be moving so fast. And last week I was thinking darn, I want to do some type of give back, some type of support of mothers, not just entrepreneur mothers. Or this is going to be a big one. I definitely did not want to do a giveaway that was tell me your struggles, make me feel bad, or tell me how you have it harder than the next person, because I think that that's just kind of, first of all, where's the proof, number one? Because who said that this is harder than this, and this shit is hard, right? I don't want anybody to compete about how hard this is, because it's hard. It's hard, right? And it may sound crazy to some. I had this dress on yesterday and it got snapped in here. It's crazy to hear that. But I felt that way in lots of situations where I've heard somebody, venting about, I'm about to say complaining, but it's venting about life circumstances. And I always think about, what are we doing to get us out of those circumstances, right? Are we having a pity party for 3, 1, whoever? What is the difference? What are we doing? And I started thinking about how in a lot of situations I could have had a pity party. I could have said X, Y, and Z, but I just decided to do the work. And that was the only difference between me and some others, that I was just what are the solutions to these problems? Because problems are going to come, things are going to happen, money comes, it flows to us sometimes, sometimes it's on the way to us. But I thought about it when I was thinking about this giveaway. And I'm I don't really want anybody to email in and tell me this or show me. I think that that's kind of degrading also to your personal business. Sometimes you want the help, but you don't want to have to share how deep. You know what I'm saying? It's especially to a stranger, right? Sometimes these things just, let me mute this. Sometimes these things are just for other people's ego. So anyway, I thought about this giveaway because I know I'm rambling. I thought about this giveaway, and at first, everyone's like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I thought, wow, what if we could do something that's equally beneficial to the children, right? It's a win-win. And yes, your rent being paid and the bill being paid, that the kids don't give a shit about. Kids do not think about how much groceries are, how much rent is, da-da-da-da-da. Why should they have to, honestly? Why should you have to say, you know how much that, that's just coming from that place of I'm struggling. You want to yell at the kids to tell them why they shouldn't do this because you know how much they cost. Kids don't have a concept of that. But anyway, I thought summer camp, summer activities, something that will bring joy to your child's life, something that will still give you an opportunity to get your shit done or sleep in late or do whatever you want to do. And I was summer camp or some summer activity, something, right? So the reason I thought about that, and this is where it's going to seem like tea, but it's testimony. And I can't dictate how I tell my stories, or what stories I'm led to share, right? And let me be clear, these stories are years later. Although I still have the lesson, the sting is not as bad because I was able to see how that tea turned into testimony. I was able to let that seep. Like, you make your tea and you sit it in the water, and sometimes you move too fast. You don't get to get all the flavor. You don't get all that. And I was able to now understand what was brewing, like what was happening in my life, right? So now, because I decided, and thank you, God, that I'm in a place and I have the opportunity to help someone else, that's what I thought, like camp. Everybody wins. Like the kids are happy. Maybe they wanted to go to karate camp. Maybe they wanted some swim lessons. Maybe they, wanted to go to an actual camp and not grandmom's house or, wherever. And grandmom's house is fun, but sometimes there's no other kids or, whatever the case may be. They just wanted to do something different. I sat and I thought about how we're approaching 7 years old. And let me first say this, I was not financially independent with my first child. So when I'm talking about this independence now, this is new to me. This is new to me. With my first child, I was not stable. I was a teenager. I hopped around. I made sacrifices that a lot of us had to make when we did not have the resources. And I'm so proud of me. Shout out, shout out to me. I'm proud of me for taking the time to let things brew, to really now say, oh, okay, that's what was going on. Oh, my mindset changed. Oh, I kept going. Okay. All of these things were difficult, but I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I didn't get into a place of everybody else did this to we took accountability and we pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps. So when I'm speaking of this new life, this life that honestly looks so much different to my previous life, that I'm kind of still in awe. But now that we're here, we're in a position to give back, help in more ways than one. I'm excited to do that. So happy Mother's Day to us. So backstory, I have been financially responsible for my almost 7 year old since he's been here. A lot of us are, right? That's not, it's not news to anybody that's probably watching this podcast. But what I've realized is over the years of being financially responsible for this child, I haven't complained. I haven't done anything to, I haven't, how sometimes people are like, yeah, you keep your kids from this person because they're not doing this. I haven't let the lack of support financially determine the relationships that were blossoming or not blossoming or whatever they were doing during that time. I never interfered because of finances. I knew early on that I was going to most likely be responsible financially for this new life. And I'm talking about from the crib to the diapers to the everything. I am responsible. And one thing I'll say about, I don't want to say just single mothers, because there's a lot of single fathers that tune in that I'm aware of. And we'll get to that when it gets here. Your day is next. But there's a lot of women right now that are in different positions than our mothers, although it's still, like I said, I'm not negating the fact that these things, life is tough. Life is a tough teacher. But I often think about how I skip some shit, how I prioritize my shit, how I just kept going, how I kept walking to the post office, how I worked this job, and how I did this to make sure this was going on. And I did it with such grace. I didn't complain ever once when it was time to pay a bill. I just paid it. I didn't wait. I think that is more, I think it's harder to say, let me see when this person's going to do it, opposed to just getting it done. Now, a lot of us don't want to be the strong. We ain't really got a choice though. I've paid for everyday care. And at first, what I could afford was a home daycare, right? What I could afford is a home daycare for, I want to say he wasn't even really, yeah, he was still in pull-ups. He was being potty trained. And that was like right before COVID. And it was maybe $50 a week at a home daycare of a lady that I met while I was getting my car serviced, and she had some children with her. She, oh yeah, I have a home daycare. Da 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 da. He goes to this home daycare, and I'm paying. I don't have purchase of care. I have no assistance, and I'm just paying. And I'm like, okay, I could afford this. At the time, my rent, I couldn't really. I'm trying to. I'm spread thin. I'm spread thin, but I got it done. And once I realized I was able to get it done, sometimes home daycares, not all. Shout out to those that have amazing home daycares and they really care for the children. My daughter went to a home daycare for many years, after school program, and shout out to Miss Regina. She was always like, her daycare center at her home was like really like a real center. So my mind was like, oh yeah, like this is like that, but it wasn't like that. So we had to pivot, and we moved to an actual daycare. And at the time, I put my son in this beautiful daycare, and I'm like, I went and toured it, and everyone was invited to tour the daycare with me, but I ended up going with a young lady at the time. Shout out to Lindsay. I was at this daycare. We did a tour. And I was like, I did my due diligence. I told everybody where it was and how much it was, and the feedback was very lacked. And it was like, at first it was, I don't know what it was. It was how it always is. Like, I don't know even what that means, but there was no input as far as showing up. And I remember actually that day it being very difficult because I had to go and do this and go and do that and go and do this. There was no partnership. So like I said early on, I knew that a lot of these things, I seen it. I felt it. I felt it. And not only did I feel it, I seen it. I seen it from early on. So get to the daycare. Later on, I let the other responsible party know, like, hey, how much it is, and da 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 da. Hey, let's split it like down the middle. And that's the funny thing. The argument on the internet is always like, y'all don't want to do 50-50, or y'all do 50. Baby, I'm trying to do 50-50. I'm trying to do 50-50. I've never done 50-50. And I've tried for 7 years to do 50-50. It hasn't even been 70-30. You feel me? It hasn't even been 40. It hasn't been anything. It's been 100% on me. And like most of you, I've gotten it done. I've gotten it done. So we get to this school. It's going beautifully for 2 years. Goliath's in a school. There's no purchase of care. It's $1,000 a month. And it's getting done. But at this time, my business is fairly just get where it needs to go. COVID comes, so that's a little delay as far as school, because now the kids are home, and it's like, okay, it gives you a break. And when I think about it now, I think about how a lot of us, when things slow up, you don't look at that as an opportunity for you to get it right, for you to get it to play catch up, for you to reevaluate, for you to come up with another plan, for you to catch your breath. We don't look at a delay like that. And I think that a lot of us should. A delay is simply giving you time to catch your breath, giving you time to go back to the drawing board and look some things over and figure it out. That's all a delay is. A delay is, because even a detour, when you're on the road, you still get to the destination. It just was a different route. And I'm paying for this school. And I'm at that time, I'm like, hey, this is what it is. And instead of getting a text message, I get a voice note. I'm gonna tell y'all one thing for sure, two things for certain. People love sending voice notes because they disappear. Most of them think they disappear. If you're smart, you have two phones, you record any voice note before you press play. You be like this. You be like, okay, let me get this on camera. And at the time, what I was told was that I would not be getting assistance until they seen what was up. I'm not paying for this. You think I'm paying this amount of money and I don't see what's up? You must think I'm stupid. I'm not paying that. And I'm thinking to myself, but I said half. I didn't say you had to pay all. I just said some. Just give me a little something on the top. And after that message that I received, my son went there for 2 years and they seen what was up and the bill was still never paid. That didn't make me withdraw him from that school. That didn't make me ask again and again and again and again and again. Instead, I was returned with this person needs to be added on a pickup list. A lot of list of demands for someone that's not paying anything. And yet and still, I rise. Yet and still, I made the arrangements. I moved some things around to accommodate someone that did not even want to go 50-50, has not gone 50-50 when it comes to education or anything of that sort. I still didn't complain. I'm not even complaining now. What I'm telling you is I did my part. And at the end of my son's 2 years at this school, the director comes up to me and she says, hey, I think that Goliath would benefit from going to this school. And she says the name of the school. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a private school. Although I'm okay right now, I don't know if that's something I can do. And she says, oh, it's a program, it's a this, it's a that, and this is how it can, I think that this would be beneficial for him. Take the information and I, move forward with enrolling my son in this school that he's currently in. And this is why I'm saying for some people it's tea. For me, it's testimony. For me, I realized that nothing goes unnoticed. It doesn't necessarily have to be a thank you from this person. It doesn't have to be a happy Mother's Day from this person. The way you're going to get blessed by doing your part, by staying on the light side of the things, will hit you so quickly, you won't even realize it at first. And that's why it's best to slow down. That's why I am intentionally slowing down. After paying solely for this school for 2 years, really 3 from the other school, I caught a break. I caught a break because God seen all my hard work behind the scenes. When I was in the thick of it, I didn't blast anybody. I didn't say, I didn't say anything. I just said, do the work. I'm going to do the work. I was never late on these payments. I don't know how. Because prior to, I was always late. I was always late on my rent. I was always delayed on something. I was always short. I was always behind when it wasn't a priority. But now that my priorities have changed, Because sometimes as a young teenage mom or 20-something-year-old, we be spending the check before the money get in our hand. Some of us in our 30s do it still, in 40s. We still sometimes do it. It's like, I just need to do this thing, or let me just go have some mimosas and this, and let me just go do this, and let me go get my nails done, let me go do all these things. And then later on, when it's time to tally it up, you short. You short. You understand what I'm saying? But I was very like obedient when it came to this child and what I needed to do. And when I caught the break, I thought to myself, wow, I cried. I cried because for all of these years, although it was hard, it got done. It was it was like, why I gotta do this by myself? Like, but then it's like, okay, because we're not gonna act like that question doesn't come up. Like, I'm not in this alone, but sometimes you are. I called a break where what I was paying monthly for school at the time, I ended up only having to pay a slither of that for the year. There's so many different people out there that will help you, that pour into you, and you don't understand always why. You don't understand, like, a lot of us won't be like, what's the catch? Sometimes the catch is you deserve it. Sometimes the catch is God seeing what you did behind closed doors, so you deserve a break. You deserve a block where you can get it back together. You deserve that detour that buys you some more time to figure out what you're going to do later, what you're going to do better when that next check comes, why you're not going to spend it so fast, because we need to prioritize things in our lives. That rainy days, sometimes your mom is like, you want to make sure you say, we don't, a lot of us don't save up for a rainy day. Hell, it rained yesterday and it's sunny today. Like, we really don't have a great relationship sometimes with money, and we have a mindset that sometimes scares the money away. And I've learned how to accept and allow the money to flow to me. I've learned how to, hey, when it flows to me, that I need to be a little bit more strategic with it, that I don't need to spend it as fast as I don't need to spend it as soon as it comes up in here. I don't need to go to dinner with 7 friends and I'm the one paying because I'm the one that look like I should, you know what I'm saying? Like, you done been there. You always got to reach for your pocketbook when you with certain friends and certain people, and you want to keep up, you want to maintain this thing, and later on you realize that you're the one, your shit is empty, right? You got a hole at the bottom of your purse and it's just draining. But when I started getting realistic, and I started being responsible for these things and for the finances, and just being a little bit more like resourceful, I started realizing, like, wait a minute, this is an opportunity to be a mom or a single parent. We'll just say single parent. You don't have a choice to say what you're going to do for your child. Like, some things are non-negotiables. Like, they have to have shoes and draw. Like, these are things that they actually need. It's not that you wanted to go take them to Disney. Like, these are actually essentials. Like, these are things that's needed. And I realized that I'm super blessed, not lucky. I'm super blessed to know that any obstacle that actually stood in my way, any person, place, or thing that, tried to distract me from the goal, try to distract me from financial freedom, it doesn't even matter. There's a lot of things going on, like right now, about, I always say this. If I have another daughter, I would never read her another Disney book. We wouldn't watch no Disney movie, because there's always a savior at the end that's coming to save this person. That Rapunzel, you could have got down. We are the princess in this story saves herself with her hard work and dedication. Sometimes you just need a little break. Sometimes when you see a detour, instead of you huffing and puffing, you enjoy the ride. You enjoy passing through a neighborhood that you've never been in. You enjoy the scenic route. Like, you really enjoy just taking that long road. Sometimes it's just a break. And I thought about how it's just a slither of what I used to do, but it gave me an opportunity to do all the other things. It freed up a lot of my finances, getting into the situation, getting into this school, having the support. What I realized about my son's current school is I have support. I have support from the other moms. I have support from the faculty members. And a lot of us don't have that in certain communities because it's just not, the funds aren't there. People do certain things for the wrong things. But I've been placed in a position where I'm thriving, my child is thriving because of support. And support doesn't always look like what you want it to look like. It doesn't always look like the other party. It doesn't always look like your sister, your aunt, your mom, your uncle. It doesn't always look like the people that you think that it would be. It's most of the time the support that I've gotten has been from a stranger. So I wanted to be that stranger. I want to be the stranger that say, hey, here's a break. I know how hard it could get when you're doing it by yourself. I know, you remember, I be seeing the reels or whatever, and the mom, it was just one yesterday, and the dad and the mom, it was a skit, but still was so real. Sometimes you see these things and you like, child, the mom, the kids was going to school and they went out in their pajamas, and the dad was like, where's your uniform? They was like, oh, mom said get your own. I remember being younger, people be like, go get your play clothes. You're not wearing my good stuff over there because it ain't gonna come back. Or I'm gonna send you over there with this and they gonna send you back with some bullshit. Like, they gonna send you back with something that's too small, and this is my hard-earned money. I understand now why a lot of women, why moms and dads and grandmothers and whoever else was always like, go get something out of that bottom drawer. That bottom drawer is your weekend drawer. The bottom drawer is, if this don't come back, I don't care. If you go to your cousin's house and you lose this, or if you go to the playground and you mess this up, I don't care because it's old and it's, it's on its last leg. I understand that now. I understand, but what I didn't understand, a lot of us didn't understand it because nobody explained it to us. We just knew what it was. Like, all right. And I said, you know what's so crazy to me? Don't do that. I'm going to send you in your best because I want you to be your best all the time. I'm not going to skip a haircut because I know that people want it to seem like they took. No, that's the game. That's where the mind is sometimes, where it's like, I'm not sending him over there looking like this so they could take credit for it. I'm not doing this because this is my hard work. Listen, I want you to stand firm in your confidence all the time. I want you to feel your best all the time. I'm not going to walk around looking like this and you looking like that. There's people that really do not. They want to live a soft life and their kids are still living a hard life. There's somebody now that's choosing to get their nails done than taking their kids on a summer trip down the street to the beach. So I get both sides of it because I've seen it. I've seen people pour into themselves and then make their kids some oodles and noodles. But you eating the way you eating. I've seen dads be shitty sharp from the head to the sliding shoes with the back of their feet hurting, but they haven't purchased any shoes for their kids in months. I've seen these things. I know that it's hard on you. It's been hard on me. But what I realized is through this whole time, you know how people be like, he's making a list. He's checking it twice for Christmas. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. I'm talking about God at this point. I'm not talking about old St. Nicholas. I'm talking about there's a list at how hard you've been working. There's a list of how many times you've taken the high road. There's a list at how many times you've put others first. Moms will make everybody plate and then get a little piece of chicken at the end. Your time is coming. You're on a detour. Right now, you in between. And when I thought about this giveaway, all I kept thinking to myself is, I'm not gonna get any help. I'm doing okay. They're not gonna, no one's gonna, I gotta figure it out. And I got the help. So that's why when I say I want to give back, but I don't genuinely need, I don't genuinely need the list of things you've been through to help you. You don't deserve it because you're working hard. No, you still deserve help, even when you're working hard. I think that's the most ass backwards situation, that people that don't do the work get the help, opposed to the people that's doing the work and they still need help. Me deciding to give back in a way of the children is be like, it's like when your child is happy and you're happy. When you're happy, your child's happy. When you feel good, they feel good. When you're not stressing, they're like, these things children can feel, they can sense. And I want to even challenge you to say, like, you know what, tomorrow go to the park. Instead of rushing home and break up that routine. You know what, today we're gonna go to the park. We don't have to wait till Saturday. Yeah, you tired. I know. Me too. But you can go to the park for 45 minutes, wear their asses out. That's the part most of us be missing. It's like, girl, I got too much stuff to be doing. Yeah, that's cool. But I guarantee you this. If a child's life is filled with the park, playing, interacting with other kids, just activities, when you get home, they're going to be so ready to eat, shower, and go to sleep that you're going to get so much done, because now you've bought yourself some time to get these things done because you let them get all that energy out before we even get home. Yesterday, we had karate. After karate, and we had the cat with us, we had karate. Then we went and had, we didn't have a full dinner at a restaurant. He had a sundae and a little kids meal. Went to a Mexican restaurant, and I had a glass of wine, and I ate what was left of his plate. But all I kept thinking is this fresh air, the air for the cat, the air, like everybody's outside. We just getting it all out before we get home. We're gonna walk to the store to get the cat food. We're gonna walk back. We were so worn out, like all of our energy was just out, that when we got home, he wanted to play right away. And I was like, well, won't you get in a shower? This is how I do it. This is how I convince him to get in a shower before he starts playing, because kids want to go straight to play. And if your kids is anything like mine, he wants to change his clothes from his uniform, put on more new clothes. And I'm like, but you dirty. How about this? If you get in the shower now, you'll have more time to play. If you get in the shower later, you're only going to have 45 minutes to play. But if you get in the shower now, you're going to have an hour and a half to, you know what I mean? Like, just giving them that choice. Hey, if you get in the shower now, and bedtime's at 9, and it's 6 o'clock, right? Your shower's like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. You have more time. But if I have to stop you in the middle of playing, then you got to stop earlier. You got to do this. So let's do this first. I always try to give those little options. And a lot of us ain't have those options, but getting all of that energy out of them gives you much more time to yourself. If y'all get picked up and y'all go to the park, you able to just sit for a little bit. It's other kids there to play with. It just gives you some time before you get home to get your stuff done. But I was just thinking, like, hey, yesterday was a breeze. These last couple of months have been a breeze, because there's some type of even if it's not like a schedule of we do this and then we do this and then we do this, it's still like it's freedom to just go with how we're feeling that day instead of being like, I got to do this right now and I got to do this right now. It's letting go of that control of just feeling like you have no time. Like detour, enjoy the detour, enjoy the pit stops. Giving back right now is just because I've been that mom, I've been this mom, I've been a mom in between. And what I realize is it's a happier household when mama is taken care of, when mama is celebrated. And even if it's by yourself, even if it's by a stranger, even if it's by a compliment of just, the teacher this morning was like, oh, you always look so nice. And I'm thinking to myself, my hair's not dry. I didn't pick it out yet. It's giving little poodle, I don't have my rings on. I don't have I'm thinking about all the things that I feel like I'm missing. And let me just accept this compliment. Let me not break it down like, what? Are you serious? It was just that natural pour of, hey, I heard the field trip was so nice. Like, thanks for coming. Like, it was so great having like little things you're gonna have to be celebrated and look at being celebrated in a different way. Mother's Day used to be so hard for me because I'm doing all of these things without complaining and I still don't get a thank you. I still don't get any acknowledgement until I started acknowledging myself is when it started being a lot easier. Like, wait a minute, you doing your motherfucking thing. I don't have to yell at my baby to put them Skittles down because I don't have the money for it. I'm doing now, if you're not getting it because you're not getting it. But I never wanted to say, I can't right now. We don't even use that word. I can't afford this. Goliath is still telling me how he wants a Bugatti and a Lamborghini. He's still saying these things and I don't stop him. I don't do that, my broke best friend. Because y'all speaking broke over your children when you say that. I just want to be clear here. My broke best friend. Goliath will tell you he's rich. He will tell you he's getting a Bugatti. And what I did this time to celebrate Mother's Day, instead of me waiting around for something I knew was not coming, just like that financial support, instead of waiting for somebody to do it, I just did it. And I know that sounds very easy, but it's my thought process that helped me do it. It's me believing in myself. It's me saying, you got this done before. You can, this is nothing. This is nothing to a giant. I often joke around and say I'm David. This giant did not defeat me. This tough job that I signed up for now. We signed up for these things. But it's no more victim conscious. It's no more like playing the victim. I signed up for this. And I was able to master this. Where so many others before me just buckled in, just gave in. They didn't have a balance of this and that. They just did what they thought and that's it. Like, can't do nothing else. This is it. My life is over. My life has just begun. Are you dumb? This is the funny thing with me. When I listen to certain music, like on my way to work, you got to be hyped up, like as a mom. A lot of y'all be driving to work listening to love music. On the work, I be like, I want to hear, I'm getting it because I have no choice but to get it. And that got me through to the other side. So I'm going to announce the winner for this give back. And I want you to know that you deserve it. You don't have to tell me this sad story. You don't have to do this and that. I know how hard it is. And also, y'all keep telling them stories over and over and over again. You breathing life into it and it's remaining. You don't have to tell me how hard it is and what somebody did and what they didn't do. I just know you're doing it. And until the last breath is in me, I'm going to continue to support women that's doing it. Thanks so much for joining me this week on Is It Tuesday podcast.